We went through social media polls on the effect of, the mining sector and how to grow the mining sector in a sustainable manner. But I'm joined now by my guest, who is Muktar Mohammed. Thank you for joining us on Business Daily.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Let us start off with how the markets are, reacting to the NLC strike. We did see tremendous losses, affect the market yesterday. We recorded, the bearish sentiments, not just with the all-share index, but across the economy generally. We also did see other sectors of the economy being impacted by the NLC strike. But I'd like for you to give us an overview of how the Nigerian economy was impacted just after one day of, the NLC strike.
I think for now we're still putting the numbers to know in terms of amount, but I can tell you that it will be running to trillions of naira. When you look at the shutting down completely of the power grid, we are in day 2 of the shutdown of the power grid, and also the airspace also has been totally shut down. Also, we are in day 2 of that. Offices are closed down. Public schools are not in school. So it's a total shutdown. And in terms of effect on the economy, is huge. And again, listening to your report where the oil sector are gearing up to join the strike if nothing tangible comes out from the negotiation with government, that also is going to finally be the what will totally bring down the economy, knowing fully well that we are an oil-dependent economy. And I don't think what is happening is something that the government have envisaged. If they would have been serious with their negotiation with labor. I think they felt that it might not have gotten the kind of response that it got. And also we are seeing that effect on our economy is really huge. And like you said, the market took those bashing, especially the banking sector, because of the news that came out of the revocation of the license of Heritage Bank. It sent fear among investors in the financial space. And then coupled with the strike and also have impact in some of those companies that are involved in the movement of goods. And you could see that happening in the conglomerate and consumer space.
This just kind of reminds me of the COVID-19 sit-at-home era, where we had, a hold on basically almost every sector that is operational in Nigeria. And the question now that is on the minds of most Nigerians is, can Nigeria handle, yet another time of inactivity in the Nigerian economy? I mean, you have spoken about how much impact just one day has had. And the question now is, can Nigeria's economy really handle something of that sort again moving forward?
No, it's a very fragile economy. Look at inflation, look at the GDP, look at the exchange rate. It's not something that we'll be able to handle. And I can tell you we are not able to handle it as it is. I still will say the government are culpable in this. They didn't take the negotiation seriously. And they just started taking it seriously after the labor have called their strike. And so that's a lesson to the government to always be proactive. And this is a government that I can say that have not been so proactive when it comes to economic decisions or thinking through before making economic decisions. And we could see that impact negatively on the Nigerian economy. And that is the reason why we are having the strikes that we are having now. So I think lessons should be learned and make sure that we don't have such incident any longer.
Okay, you have talked to, the response we've seen so far coming from the government and, do I say slow speed at which the government, has been on the labor's call for an increase in minimum wage. But let us hear from you now. On the side of the labor, the labor union, the TUC, and the organized private sector. How would you gauge their handling of this entire thing? Would you say they are on the right path or in the right direction?
Well, you see, they are on the right path because they are fighting for their rights. I mean, cost of goods, cost of household item has gone up. But again, I tend not to agree with the figures that they are banishing to government, 400 and 497,000 minimum wage. I think, and that is too ambitious. The economy cannot take that for now. But outside of that, I think also the reversal in the electric tariff is something that they have to look into also, because again, that is affecting them in one way or the other, because some of these companies that they are working for, once the overhead cost goes up, they will begin to think about downsizing or right sizing. So I think in the short term, it's really going to affect our economy negatively, but in the long term, it could be the key driver of our economy. Maybe government will begin to think through economic policy, because as far as I'm concerned, labor issues are the most critical economic issues that you need to address, because it has to deal with productivity. And so as it stands now, there's no productivity in the Nigerian economy for the past 2 days. And that, I keep saying, cannot be quantified in terms of how much we have lost in every sector of the Nigerian economy. And to know that these three major key sectors, power is a key driver of it, what it means that most industry are shut down, and the industries that are not shut down are relying totally on the second energy cost, which is highly, very, very, very expensive. Cost of transportation has gone up again. So a lot of things are happening that I feel that the government needs to wake up to their responsibility and make sure that this strike doesn't gets too long, or doesn't get after today, because I didn't see anything in the communicator from the secretary of the government or from the national security advisor. Maybe that is why Wave also is apprehensive, because it's just a one page. We've agreed, the president agreed in a minimum wage of above 60 naira. They never made mention about the electric tariff hike or in those statements. So that shows the level of seriousness on the part of government, because there are some things that government really have the power to reverse immediately, to show a little bit of seriousness in telling labor that we are ready to discuss. And one of them is the reversal, even if not total reversal, the reversal of the hike in the electric tariff. That should have been what government should use, because they have power over that. If you talk about the minimum wage, there are a lot of things that will be involved in terms of getting a true living on minimum wage, and that could be what we should be discussing the next 1 week. But to remain there and just come up with only communicate that talks about the minimum wage, then covering the other sector that the labor are fighting for. So for me, I think the government have not shown empathy for the people. The government have not looked at the people and look at the level of suffering that the people are suffering because of their own economic policy. And now that have also have a negative impact on the people. Again, the people are suffering again because of the slow nature of which this present government have been appears to have handled the labor issue.
You have emphasized on how the federal government has been slow in addressing these issues. And one question that crosses my mind is, how is this affecting, or how will this affect investors' confidence? I recall sometime last week we did hear from Total Energies having picked Angola over Nigeria in the area of investment. There were issues such as inconsistency in policy direction, and also lots of issues why Total Energies had decided to pick Angola over Nigeria. And then the question now is, with all of this that we have now playing out as we speak, what sort of message does this pass to investors across the world who are thinking or considering investing in Nigeria?
Well, it's a negative message. It's straight up. There's no, it's negative, and that might be the reasons why you've not seen investor comes to Nigeria despite the traveling of the president. We've not seen. All we keep hearing is we were expecting 7 point something billion, we're expecting 20 billion, we're expecting this. They need to. I think the government need to up its game and also like proactive in our activities. Where we are today was due to two non-thought, very good economic policies that were not thought through. The removal of fuel subsidy and the floating of the naira, and that is what is responsible for the current industrial action. So I think investors won't want to come to an unstable environment. We are already experiencing stability in terms of the exchange rate. So most investors don't want to bring in their money when they are not sure of the stability in your exchange rate. Macroeconomic headway seems to be negative. GDP growth is a lot of things are not working for Nigeria, for Nigerians, for investors to want to come. And coupled with this, the current labor strike and also the way government have handled it also has a little to be desired for investors to want to come to Nigeria.
I would like for us to touch on the development that we did see yesterday. That is the renewal of license for Heritage Bank, which of course did, trickle down towards the banking sector and the financial space yesterday, impacting negatively on that. One of the recent developments is that the NDIC will be using, BVN to verify and pay customers of Heritage Bank up to 5 million naira. I would like for you to react towards that development. What should depositors or users of Heritage Bank expect moving forward?
Well, your money was only insured to about 5 million. So if you have above 5 million, you won't get it. That's the first thing they should expect. Secondly, I don't think it's good for Nigerian confidence for investors that want to come to Nigeria, especially the way the CBN have handled it. This is a CBN that told us some weeks back that all Nigerian banks are solid, all Nigerian banks are liquid, and all of a sudden, unless you are saying Heritage Bank was not part of the Nigerian banks, and so now within some weeks you are revoking their licenses. So that will make investors not take you serious when you come up with the statement that regard the stability of the bank. I think is something that we've gotten it all wrong by the CBN. I think what we've done before now was to see a change of management. But the current CBN administration seems to be a holistic revocation of the licenses. And at a time when Nigerians are going through a lot in terms of employment, and so you throw a lot of people back into the employment market, and then you could also begin to throw a lot of people into the poverty line, because most of them that have above 10 million, above 5 million will not be able to collect their money. And when you look at the hardship in the land, what is 5 million? 5 million for those people that are doing business about 4,000 something dollars. So it doesn't really add up to what they would really desire. So I think the CBN have not handled this professionally well, until the fact that we are not hearing them saying, okay, giving Heritage Bank a notice. Maybe they did that behind the scene. We don't know, to recapitalize, since they say it was due to financial issues, by poor financial performance. I think it should have been open for them, especially now that the banks are going into recapitalization. You'd have waited and see if they will be able to recapitalize before you revoke their license. So it's not good for the Nigerian banking space. Like you said, the stock market reacted negatively to that.
Very valid point. I mean, just recently we had heard from the CBN talking about, how most of the Nigerian banks were standing strongly on 2 feet. However, we did see, the news that broke out yesterday from Heritage Bank. Do you in any way anticipate to see, such play out again with, other commercial banks or other financial institutions, especially because we don't know what to expect at this point? On one hand, we're talking about recapitalization. On the other hand, we are seeing, withdrawal of licenses. So should we expect this to play out, again, going forward?
No, I don't think so, especially if you look at some of the banks that are listed in the exchange, look at their results. We didn't get any result from Heritage Bank, or when the result was sent to CBN. They were not public because they are not a public listed company in the exchange, and also won't have known what has transpired. But if you look at most of the banks, even you look at their retained earnings alone, is enough for capitalization. When the CBN said, no, we are not interested in retail earning, we want to bring in fresh funds because of the kind of economy we are trying to build, so that you'll be able to participate in it. So I don't think there will be any major.
We're speaking with Muktar Mohammed there, and he has spoken, extensively.
Come to
Okay,
CBN.
I believe we have him back here with us. Can you go on with your thought, Mr. Muktar Mohammed? We seem to have lost him again. He was speaking to issues around, the impact of the ongoing labor strike on the economy. Like we rightly stated earlier, we did see, the market, that is the Nigerian equities market, the NGX declined by about 13% in one day. And the question now on the minds of most Nigerians or most economic watchers is, can Nigeria afford another halt in economic activities? We also did see yesterday how, the aviation sector was grounded. We also did see, the power sector and the industrialization sector as a whole, remain grounded all through the day. And other questions have arisen rather, as to whether Nigeria can actually, handle another sit-at-home policy, and how much these will impact on investors' confidence moving forward. We also did speak to issues around the withdrawal of license of the full Heritage Bank by the Central Bank of Nigeria. And one of the recent news reaching us this morning is that the NDIC will be using BVN to verify and pay their customers of Heritage Bank up to 5 million naira. So if you do have more than 5 million naira with the Heritage Bank, the chances are you will not be recovering the entire amount. However, you will be, given as much as 5 million naira from the bank. A lot really going on, especially in the area of, how much impact the strike has had on the Nigerian economy. And he also did, say that the amount that the labor union, the trade union Congress, the organized private sector as a whole are, half penned down may actually be, an amount that may be far-fetched, especially considering the current economic realities right here in Nigeria. And he also has called on the labor union to, meet the federal government at on a middle ground. Well, we will continue to monitor the activities of the labor as the strike, continues today. And we will, of course, be bringing you update on the program as the days go by. Well, this is the point where we draw the curtains on today's edition of Business Daily. But join the conversation on social media and let us hear from you. How are you as an individual impacted by the ongoing strike action, and how is your business, your small business, being impacted by the ongoing strike action? Let us hear from you. So share with us on social media. My name is Chiamaka Enendu. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.